Honorable, Master, Soban, questions and answers. And some of the church in Wuhan, officials, there will be some questions. Maybe I'm for politics.
The topic was decentralization and local governance in Ghana. Mr. Biafra, pen and paper. Decentralization, Biafra, pen and paper. What is decentralization? I was asking. Let's start with the introduction. We'll get there. So, the design of Ghana's local governance system places the assembly members' position as the interface between the assembly and the local people. I think this point was raised by the Honorable Deputy Minister. You are placed as an assembly member, the interface, a kind of interface. Our assembly in a electorate now will you and local people no our in a one team in CBR or the and from the assembly to the people, from the people to the assembly. So you are the interface. This implies that the assembly members must have appropriate levels of knowledge, skills, and attitude to enable them to exercise their mandate in a responsive manner. What therefore means is that if you may have Masha say that the bear was some our trainer year or their sassy or they are no knowledge, you see skills, not a gymnasium, a jumano, not a jumano, wakoye. Sir, a yimi be usia. A yim be you have assembly pen where the bear for you people be put the bear 8 years. A team bisa will learn from each other. So you need the skills, you need the knowledge. That is all. So we will now get to understand the meaning of decentralization practically before we can go and look at it at the theoretical or what book has written. Local government so work and see. Now let us go to what researchers have written. But we start from this. Ghana's decentralization program now, sets out functions, power, authority, resources, and accountability relationships between central and local governments. And that's the more reason why we asked and we have understood what local governments are about. We have understood what is decentralization about, but we'll come to the call it book definitions. As representatives of the people at the local level, as members, it is your responsibility to defend local interests, priorities and actions. Local interests, it being Bubika and the ball by issue, Shibo by issue, one never can. So you need to defend your local interests. It's very, very important. As members and their organizations need to negotiate with central government, that's executive legislature, for instruments that would facilitate local governance and development. You need to negotiate with national government for some instruments. What instruments being about it? Allies, part of instruments. Model standing orders, a part of instruments. Local Governance Act, Act 936, is part of the instrument. The 1992 Constitution is part of the instrument, so that you'll be able to build the knowledge and capacities about local governance, so that you'll be able to facilitate local governance and development in your respective areas. These are some of the instruments. I'll go to Mina Wabua. PNDC Law 207. The decentralization that we are practicing today, that's what we are actually implementing. It doesn't mean that before 1988, there was no decentralization in Ghana. It hasn't been so. There were a whole lot of commissions. When government wanted to know the kind of decentralization local government that we needed to practice in Ghana, we had Kuse Commission, Akufo-Addo Commission. There's so many commissions from Nkrumah side. Even we had one Kufuor when Kufuor was the local government minister, and it was that of God secretary under President Rawlings. There were attempts to find out what kind of local government decentralization that Ghana was to implement. However, it was 1988 per the PNDC law 207 that we started the current type of decentralization. The assembly system that we have today came from the PNDC law 207 that was concretized in the 1992 Constitution, chapter 20. If you go to chapter 20 of the 1992 Constitution, you realize there's a chapter, local government and decentralization. So we have practiced this for the past 32 years. There's been a lot of challenges. That is why we are building on it. 32 years of practice. Abaze na ye bim, abadisua na wa bim, abaze na otosim wo here decentralization ya practice over 30 years. Ebima bosua bian ho, Uganda, Kenya, they moved on. We seem to be static at where we started from. There are a lot of challenges. But my book out there, I call it, that was my PhD work, The Unfinished Business of Decentralization. Those things that I see as challenges within decentralization, that's why I termed it the unfinished business of decentralization. Features and relevance of Ghana's decentralization program. This assembly shall be the highest political authority in the district and shall have deliberative, legislative, and executive functions. As for this one, everybody knows this. You have deliberative, you have legislative, you have executive functions. If I say that to be legislative function, who you know him, uncle. So according to deliberative functions, assembly, at a time, in a exercise your deliberative functions. Time of assembly, deliberative function. That is the time exercise for her. At a time, in a exercise one legislative function. Sikebi, another time should be there. A year to about that is here. A year to my pension. Open car kwao yanda ma nchobi asora bakano heyi akwanum no busy ne kiosk abesiwo ana but functional was a function go to my akade eyi imretia e go to my ye on a time ahunwo the pray function. So the assembly member work is very, very important. Yehuni ye very, very important. You have a lot of things to do, except that when you are in Granadades, assembly members naraso wobubrado. I mean him. About the assembly member got GBC house for kiosks here. Assembly member is going have for kiosks here. Assembly member when I actually do your kiosks, I different plan and I engineer or assembly way. I engineer and I different plan. Assembly member got GBC there. Over Kiwara Air home plan marshal assembly no do. That is not wage man. And you wait to won't be there. Draw planner, engineer. Me paper there was a kiosk this year. You put a child on my bush there. Ha? What the kiosk is here? Oh, ye. I know ye. Yenda wara got to be 500. There over kiosk is here. Draw plan an engineer for car. Home panel. What in ha? Yanoko. That's my year. If you look at my book, page 379. I'm not sure in there. The current practice of voluntary service by the assembly members after nearly 2.5 decades. That I made sure booking about 25 years. This year about 32 years. Assembly man. On them the Ghana ban the young consolidated fund. Entum tue impa epie. The impa crew akatue epie boom. The ABA a teacher. Who come from our consolidated fund. A assembly member. Who come from the same consolidated fund. Fine. By I'm friend salary now from allowance at major.
About one year before the different as an assembly member.
A good question. A corner before I represent one. On how on your day and light you wash. Make assembly or the mutum to assembly him. Him budget, your burden part of our budget for this year. Wabane there, yes, we will procure street lights. 1, 2, budget in a war year, no. Who about 40 something electoral areas? A number 45 electoral areas. How many electoral areas will capture the budget room with there? I want to provide street lights because every year within one given year, no, you to me street lights all the 45. So did I lobby the pay to Babembia? Pay to Bem, you know. Hem budget me a cat the Yebenya, Mayeza, ye them street lights, Yanya. Yanya is a number to pay to Mencroft Cade with ye, may capture a budget. Yes, Canaba, ye better than a handsel, Yansa Akayansi. That is the way you defend the people of Pedu. But you're funny there. This year, we need budget. There, this year to Chile is 100. Chile is on this kind of auditor. Most of the assembly, they pay the lights, I should. Me, I see like 20, 30. I see the MC, need to me again. One more. Also, only budget to be able to see like this year. So, one budget to me, for the water, I hand, Unimbi. Make a year to pay the Kawan, Abra, no Kawan. Oyimibi. So, a better name. These are the ways that you use. MPP NDC. Me DC. NDC time no order. MPP time no order. Me DC. Women organizer. Consulting chairman. One secretary. NDC by same. MPP by same. Does it really go by the act? No, there. When can ever appoint 30% now? Do they have that capacity? No? Because the original framers of the Constitution are trained there. What you are very real by about 80% are teachers. The Social Brow Assembly. A guy is within a university community. You may have be a university. Is it possible that young son and there? Yeah, government appointee system. You may be from UCC. Why present the vice chancellor now? Is it possible there? You may be all security background. No, I want government appointee. Is it possible there, Etina? You are far from the Kuafo. I prefer to my government appointee. I thought this was what the framers of the Constitution were doing. So, if today something is not going right, and we are talking about Onintina Bibi Koduna and Endano Kodana, let's look at some of these things. And that is the more reason why this presentation, I want us to be very technical. I don't want to bring in politics in this my presentation. I believe you understand me. Good. Why decentralization? Why decentralization? We can have bringing government closer to the people, bringing public services closer to local residents, promote podcast representation. That's the more reason why you are podcast representatives for assembly. Promote podcast stability, enhances local democracy, innovation, creativity, and others. On normal decentralization. No home, here. And then we are saying the central government focuses on policy issues, whilst the local government, they are reconstituted and agencies are for service delivery and project implementation. Ghana, if you look at this nationally, your central government and we are local government. With this arrow and you see the accountability now over now, the national government is accountable to local and local is also accountable to national. National is different central. No? So central government is accountable to local, while the local government is also accountable. So mutual accountability. That's how we need to look at it. Eti nehu Jubilee House or nehu edani o CCM na wa edani. Edani o yes CCM. Baby za. And the Jubilee House and baby to Jubilee. Central to national, national to central. So you see this election policy, your Ghana, your practice. We have political decentralization, administrative decentralization, decentralized planning, fiscal decentralization, local economic development. But let me talk about 4 or 5 of this. Political decentralization, it is being implemented at government ministries level. For instance, that's why the Minister of Local Government Rural Development not yet in charge of DCs, not yet in charge of assembly members. That is political. When we come to administrative decentralization, my office is in charge of all the staff in the regional coordinating councils, in the metro municipal assemblies. There are about 50,000 in number. When we go to RCC, except Kwamna and Ajay, the regional minister and deputy, who belong to the Jubilee House, everybody reports to my office. When we go to the assemblies, except the mayor or the chief executive, who reports to the minister for local government, every other person reports to my office. And that is what we call administrative decentralization. Fiscal decentralization, we have Administrative Assembly Common Fund. We have Ministry of Finance. They look at our fiscal decentralization in Ghana. If you look at political participation, it's a function of the Ministry of Local Government to make sure that you are actively involved in decentralization in Ghana. Sub-national unit of government, geographically defined in the sense that you have CCME boundaries, you have KE boundaries, and that tells you that this is a local government, geographically defined. Sub-national unit of government, legally created by central government. CCMA is legally created, which has powers to plan, budget, and implement its own decisions within the laws of the state, and may consist of elected and or appointed members of public officials. So this one actually sums up what local government is all about, what you talked about. But what is very important is within the laws of the state, at the metro level, it's a 4-tier. 4-tier meaning that if you metro have ever sub metro, town area council, the unit committee. So 1, 2, 3, 4 tier. Whilst the municipal and the district is 3-tier, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You get what I mean? So the metro is 4-tier system, and the municipal and district assemblies 3-tier. The sub metro now only municipal and district assemblies. Asana about town area councils. Whilst municipal assembly KFO was zonal councils. Abra Assembly Kamankas will have urban town area councils under the district assemblies. So 3-tier and the 4-tier system.
The purpose of today's program is this. Last year in December, over 9,000 assembly members were elected. They were inaugurated by the president in January. When I say elected, I've added the 30% appointees. The over 9,000, they are what we call today assembly members. That's both elected and appointed. As you know, they need to build their capacity to be able to effectively perform in their assemblies. On the basis of this, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development and Ministry of Local Government Studies have come together to build teams to go around all the 16 regions, 129 venues to build capacities of assembly members. That is all the 260 MMDAs. That is our team, is responsible for the central region, that's zone 3. We're starting with Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly. We are here to build capacities of our assembly members, build the knowledge and skills to be able to perform effectively at the assembly level. That is the CCMA assembly. That's Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly. That is why we are here today. It is expected that after today, tomorrow's sessions, they will build their capacities to be able to ask the right questions that they need to ask, to be able to understand their model standing orders, to be able to understand areas within the Local Governance Act of 2016 at 936 that affect the performance of the assemblies. That is why we are here. No, I think that participation has been great. All the government appointees and all the elected assembly members are here in Cape Coast today. We hope that tomorrow the same attendance will be realized. I think the participation has also been great. As our politicians, what they are doing, except that we, in our laws today, they are not partisan. They are not partisan. But if you go to the assembly, there are two sides, the bureaucrats and the politicians. The politicians are assembly members headed by the presiding member to the district chief executive. And what the bureaucrats, the coordinating directors and their subordinates, all the staff in the assemblies, they form the bureaucrats. It's these two sides that come together to form a district assembly. No, I expect that when they go back to the assembly, they'll be richer than before. They'll be able to ask very pertinent questions. They'll be able to understand their rules and responsibilities and how to work within their standing orders. I think that is the way I want to see going forward. This training is very important. Credit the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. Otherwise, once in 4 years, building capacity of assembly members, I believe that it won't be enough.
My name is Honorable Nana Kweku Awuku. I'm the presiding member for the Cape Coast Metro Assembly. It's a very wonderful program. It's been since February that we've been waiting for such a training program, except for the pandemic that paralyzed the whole country and, for that matter, the whole world. But other than that, it's something that we've been waiting for. Unfortunately, we have a good number of people who have just entered the assembly, and therefore the training was very necessary for them, to equip them, to enable them to perform well as community leaders, or for that matter, as assembly members. The first session has been on the decentralization policy of this country, how government has, over the years, transferred powers, responsibilities, and resources to the local people to enable them to start their duties efficiently. The participation has been very strong this morning. We have 45 elected assembly members and about 22 government appointees. All of them have been here. We're also fortunate to have in our presence the Deputy Regional Minister, the Metro Chief Executive, the Coordinating Director. They've all been here with us, giving us support for this program. As honorable members, we're also given the opportunity to ask questions and also to speak on issues that are bothering their mind. And luckily enough, we have the head of the local government service, who's one of the resource people. He's been able to explain most of the things to them. And I hope that by the time we leave here tomorrow, honorable members will be well equipped to enable them discharge their duties. In fact, the assembly was inaugurated in February, and we were supposed to have started our meetings in March. But because of the pandemic, we've not had our first General Assembly. Maybe we were waiting for this training program, so we'll start right after this place. So hopefully by the next 2 weeks, we'll be doing our first General Assembly meeting. After this capacity, it is still too early for honorable members to have a full grip of all the instruments, all the laws that we've been operating with. And therefore, my expectation is not that high, even though with this, it takes time for honorable members to learn everything that they need to enable them perform well. So my expectation is not too high in the first General Assembly. Maybe within a year's time, those who want to learn, they would have learned, and we'll see them performing very well at the Assembly. Some of them come 4 years, they don't want to learn. And they go back the same thing, going back with nothing. And for that matter, it affects them in their communities. They are not able to handle their problems very well. But if you are ready to learn, you can do much for your community. My advice I'm giving to honorable members is for them to be very abreast with all the laws that we are with. There are a lot of laws that we are working with as a district, as a lot of instruments. And nobody forced them to go and contest these elections. They voluntarily came out to contest. And therefore, they should be up and doing with their communities. They have to be doing a lot of follow-ups. They have to be asking a lot of questions. They have to be doing a lot of networking. They have to be doing a lot of proposals. They have to be knocking at a lot of doors for assistance so that they can do so well for their people. I should think so. That's why I'm saying it depends on every individual. I've been in assembly for some 8 years ago. I exited, came back, and I'm still with the assembly as a presiding member. So I was once a presiding member, and I'm now a presiding member again. So it all amounts to the quality of work you discharge to your people.